Hi, I'm Joan Herman, and this is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Thanks for tuning in. Our guest today is Chef Robert Irvine, host of 3 shows on the Food Network, Dinner Impossible, Worst Cooks in America, and Restaurant Impossible. Robert is also the author of 2 books, Mission Cook and Impossible to Easy. Robert, I spoke a little bit about, in the intro, your shows, but in addition to that, you really have quite an impressive resume. You were in the Royal Navy, you served aboard Her Majesty's Royal Yacht, you've cooked at the White House, you've served 6,000 servicemen and women on a U.S. aircraft carrier, and you planned an event for an Academy Awards after party. How did all this get started?
You know, I started to cook when I was 11 years old, Joan, and fell in love with just people's faces light up when they eat something they love, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that automatically to me is the most amazing feeling. It's euphoric even. And that's why I said to my dad, you know, after spending a couple of weeks on a cruise ship not learning to cook, but cooking with the chef there, I came home and said, Dad, I know exactly what I want to be. I want to be a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And he did laugh at me.
Well, I was going to say, you joined the Royal Navy at age 15. Is that common to join at such a young age? And what was it like for a 15-year-old to be part of that setting?
It's not common anymore because the laws have changed slightly. But when I joined the Navy, I joined as a cook, which is a junior assistant cook. And my training was in Chatham in Kent. And I remember I'd always been this kind of a global sort of traveler since the age of 11. I was in the Sea Cadets. My parents let me go all over the country with Sea Cadets, going to different naval bases and warships and things like that. So for me, it was just another adventure. But this time, it was real. You know, I wasn't coming home anymore. I was going in the Navy. So that was kind of interesting. I remember sitting on the train going to my first job, which was at HMS Raleigh in Tor Point, which is Torquay, the very south of England, and thinking, oh, my word, I'm going into basic training, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was very cocky and confident. But when I got there, it wasn't about me. You know, I had the best trousers, the best shoes, the best... What Navy taught me was teamwork, which I didn't really get until I got in there. They almost kicked me out because I wasn't helping the other people. My grades were amazing, my uniforms, my drills, but I wasn't helping anybody. They turned that around very quickly.
I'm assuming that you learned skills there that you apply now to the kitchen and to a lot of the shows, the premises of the types of shows that you have on the Food Network.
Well, you know, the funny part about any military service, and that's why I'm such a gun-ho guy about the military, is, you know, it teaches you leadership skills, it teaches you teamwork, it teaches you discipline, respect, self-confidence, all them things in which, yes, modern-day life we need. And especially in what I do with Dinner Impossible, especially what I do with Restaurant and Worst Cooks of America, and the way I run my own restaurants. You know, these are building blocks for life that you learn in the military. And I had the best 10 years ever in the military of growing up, seeing the world, cooking for great people, and just really understanding what it means to lead people. You know, there's a lot of people say, well, I have a boss. Well, my people that work for me have a leader. You know, I show them, I get in the trenches, and I think that's what the military has done for me.
So how did you make the leap from your military career to having a television show?
Well, I did a show when I came out of the Navy, and I came to Jamaica, and I lived in Jamaica for a year, and I opened a couple of hotels, and I went to a couple of cruise ships, and I came to Atlantic City, I went to Atlantic City and I worked for Donald Trump, and I shot a show that was aired on local NBC, which was called The Effortless Gourmet. And it did great. We shot 26 episodes in 4 days, which was crazy. Mm-hmm. But I had a lot of feedback from that on emails. So I met Mark Summers from Unwrapped, again, Food Network. And I said, oh, you know, I've got this idea for a show, and, you know, what do you think of it? And it was based on my life. It was based on what I do in my real life, and it was called Fit for a King. It wasn't called Dinner Impossible at that time. We shot the pilot, took it to a guy named Charles Norlander, who at that point was the head of development for Food Network, and they bought it. And, you know, and that's how they bought Fit for a King, which then changed its name to Dinner Impossible, because originally I would know where I was going and what I was doing, and I would have food. Charles thought it was more exciting in his infinite wisdom, and he was right, to take everything away from me and let me fend for myself.
Well, Robert, for our listeners who may not be familiar with the show, tell us a little bit about Dinner Impossible.
Dinner Impossible is a show that I'm dropped into locations, and it can be a desert island, it can be an Air Force base, it can be a cruise ship in Alaska. I'm given a mission, and that can be feed 20 people, feed 40 people, feed 4,000 people, whatever that case may be, in a certain amount of time. There is generally no food, no equipment, and you have the timeline to get it done at. And what we normally do is shop at stores just like you would at home, but except for a lot of people. And that's what Dinner Impossible is. It's a fun, energetic, highly successful show that's been on Food Network 8 seasons.
You just mentioned in talking about Dinner Impossible, a new show that you have coming on, Restaurant Impossible, which premieres on January 19th at 10 p.m. on the Food Network. Tell us a little bit about this, because I think that this show, the premise of this, I think, can be applied to so many different businesses in today's economy.
Well, yeah, Restaurant Impossible is very unique in that, in this economy, a lot of things are changing, and a lot of restaurants are going bankrupt. So what we're doing is taking a close to bankrupt restaurant all around the country. They give me 48 hours to go in, talk to the people, i.e. the owners and the staff, find out what's going wrong. Then I have 48 hours to fix that restaurant, and that can mean interior design, remarketing, retooling the kitchen, redoing the menus, retraining the staff, and really focusing on the negative points of why that business is not working. And then 48 hours later, and I might add, once I've talked to the owner of that restaurant, I throw him out of his own restaurant. He's not allowed back in that restaurant until I open it, 48 hours later.
Do you sleep in that time? Robert, do you sleep in those 48 hours?
I get a couple of hours here and there, but not much.
Because I'm trying to figure out how you absolutely get this done.
We find volunteers from local schools, from art schools, from anybody that wants to help. Painters, electricians. I have a design person with me, and I have a construction guy with me who says, we can take that wall, we can't take that wall type thing. And we literally get it done. It's an amazing show, and when you see it, you'll be like, it's almost like watching Dinner Impossible. Oh, he's never going to get it done. And it comes down to the wire on a lot of times,
Robert, what are some things that you've learned from doing that show that perhaps a small business owner could apply to a business to try to help it survive?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to analyze why it's not working. If you have a business that's been working well for 6 years and then your sales have dropped by 60%, there's an issue there. And you have to figure out why that is and analyze. And what a lot of people don't want to do is look in the mirror. And you need to do that to find out where the issues are. Yes, economy has a part of it, but if you've had a restaurant that's run the same menu for 5 years and you've not changed the carpet and it's smelling, there is an issue there. You need to change the carpet, redo the menu, and relaunch the restaurant. And that's any business. That's not just restaurants. You have to really look into what you do and what you can do better and what you can offer.
And what would you say are some of the best ways that these business owners can promote their business through marketing, advertising, and such?
Well, I think marketing is expensive. Radio is an amazing way to do it, and I'm not just saying that because we're on radio. Radio is a cheaper version.
Right.
Of television. Print is so expensive. So if you go to local colleges, local gyms, local businesses, Chamber of Commerce, places that have large numbers of people they can get information out to quickly. And that's what I do. I use radios, I use city halls, I use Chamber of Commerce, I use colleges, I use universities. Anywhere I know I can get a lot of information to people, that's where I go. And if that means me taking some food to these places and feeding them, then I'll do that too.
Well, that's a lot of times people don't realize the creativity involved. You have to think outside the box to be successful.
Well, if you think about it, advertising, unless you've got a $100,000 advertising budget a year, you can't do normal advertising. It's just too expensive. Mm-hmm. So, okay, then run special nights. Even in my restaurants, I run special nights that give people deals. It costs me money, but that's my marketing budget. I don't advertise in newspapers. I do on radio because I believe that radio hits the most amount of people very quickly. So I do that, but that's about all I do in my own restaurant. Think about this. People are driving to work or they're listening at home. They may not think of reading a newspaper, but we always have radio on. It's a noise. Human body, or we are brought up to think about noise. Whether we watch television, we put it on and just have background noise. It's the same with radio. It's an amazing subconscious thing that we do. So that's why I prefer radio.
Robert, let's talk for a few minutes about your new show that's premiering tonight at 9 p.m. on the Food Network, Worst Cooks in America Season 2. And before we get into that, I'd like to say that last year when the show premiered, it was the #1 premiered show on the Food Network.
Yeah, I'm so excited for tonight. I want it to blow away last year's numbers, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's exciting because it's taking regular people and teaching them how to cook.
And how do you do this?
Through a lot of pulling hair out. No, I'm kidding. We've taken 16 of the worst cooks in America who really don't cook, but they think they're good at it. Mm-hmm. And tonight you'll see that some of the dishes that they've made in the opening show, and you'll meet the people, and then Chef Ann will pick my team, and I will pick her team, and then we will teach them through the next 8 weeks a series of skills, breaking chicken down, how to hold a knife, how to peel vegetables. Oh, and this is a tomato, and it's red. A lot of people don't even know what bacon looks like.
The premise of your show, most of us, we cook, but like you're saying, we probably don't know the right way to do things. And it's something that, you call it the worst cooks, but it probably applies to most cooks. And there's a lot that we can learn from the show.
Absolutely. When you watch this show, you will learn tips and techniques of doing things the right way, which ultimately saves you time and it saves you money. Chef Ann and I both have very different skill sets. We're both great chefs in our own right, but we're very, very different. I'm classically trained. She's Italian trained. So there's a lot to gain from both sides. Obviously, I want to beat her in the teaching sort of, it's a competition of can I teach better than she can? And the students or the trainees in this boot camp want to beat each other to make $25,000.
Right.
And that's how it starts. But throughout the weeks after today, you'll see that the money becomes less important and the skills become more important because they want to learn to cook. It's a very endearing, you get to live their life for 8 weeks.
You just said that Chef Ann is Italian. I hate to tell you this, Robert, but I think I have to root for her. I'm an Italian. We have to stick together.
Okay. That's okay. Hey, listen, I'm not, you're Italian, but you would love my food, so.
Absolutely, because I'm Italian. Before break, I had to cut you off, but we were talking about your show, Worst Cooks in America, and we were just getting into about how I would love your food. So if you'd like to pick up from there, that would be great.
We were just getting into how you were rooting for Chef Ann already.
That's right, and I had to take a break right there.
You know what's interesting? We're both very differently trained. I'm a classical trained chef, and as I said, Chef Ann is Italian, worked with Mario Batali and a few others. And it's just interesting. Techniques never change. The knife cuts never change. Mm-hmm. Then skills are the same for whoever you come from. It's classical. But when we cook with love and we taste things. And one of the biggest mistakes that people at home don't do is taste things. If you taste things and when you add salt and pepper and anything else that you're flavoring with, and you leave it for a couple of seconds, you get a very different flavor. And if you don't taste that, you'll never know what things are tasting like.
I want to talk about your restaurant that you have on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I vacation there pretty much every summer. And where are you located? Because I've never been there, and I would like to try it.
You will love it, first of all. Robert Irvine's Eat, it's called, okay. And it's in the shops at Wexford Village, mm-hmm. right by the Jazz Corner.
Okay.
It's very beautiful, very ornate, some Chihuly-looking glass. We do a tapas Tuesday, and we've been doing it for 3 years, where the tapas are half price and certain drinks are half price. And that's my advertising. Mm-hmm. We do about 800 covers a day on that Tuesday night.
Right.
And very, very successful.
Well, and the beauty of you having your own restaurant and your own business is that when you go out and you do it for your show, you actually have the credentials and the ability because you're making it work in your own life.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I never want to put food on a menu you can get anywhere else. We change my menu every 5 weeks. Okay. So you will not be able to get the food in New York City, in Chicago, and anywhere else. You can only get that type of food, them type of mixes, in Robert Irvine's Eat in Hilton Head. You will not get it anywhere else, and that's what I pride myself on.
Well, and Robert, where can our listeners go to get more information about your shows and your work?
Shows, they can go to foodnetwork.com, and the restaurant, you can go to Robert Irvine's Eat, E-A-T, at HHI.com, HiltonHeadIsland.com.
And as always, our listeners can visit our website, CYACYL.com, which stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While you're on the website, please check out the show's new e-magazine and also listen to some past shows as podcasts. Robert, we're out of time. It was a pleasure having you here today, and I would really love to have the opportunity to have you come back because there are a lot of things that we haven't even touched upon as far as cooking. So, I wish you the best of luck in your show tonight, and I hope you break those numbers, and I wish you just the same type of premiere on the 19th.
Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you in Hilton Head. And root for me now. Blue team, not red.
Okay, I'll have to think about this. It depends what you're cooking. But anyway, this is Joan Herman, and this is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Thanks for tuning in.